Hello and welcome back, guys. We're now starting a new story, The Fallen Hero, by King Azrael. You can find author's profile link in the description. Let's begin game announcement and a little help Izuku POV. Unless said otherwise, there is little in this world to be thankful for. My life has been nothing but pain ever since the doctor had recognized me as quirkless. Pain, abuse, torment, and hate, which was all I ever knew since then. All Might, the #1 hero himself, had told me to give up, but I proved him wrong. I earned his trust, gained his quirk, and I thought for once something good was finally happening, but it only got worse. It made me want to ask whoever people pray to why it was me he hated so much. Analyzing heroes, a habit I forced myself to start, had turned into a reason of scorn. I idolized heroes, and every time I found their quirk interesting, I wrote them down. Analyzing was my bread and butter, but my friends and teachers found that villainous. They accused me of being a villain and that I worked with the LOV. Obviously I had thought of the repercussions if a villain got their hands on my notebooks. I just wanted to keep myself sane, to have any form of normalcy, but betrayal because of my hobby was something I never believed would happen, and why should I? I risked my life and my body to help them. I never turned them down when they were in a bind, so why didn't anyone look out for me? Apologies were all that I received from my friends when my innocence had verified. I still remember how they said they were sorry, but it was not because they were genuinely apologetic for what they had done. No, it was to make themselves feel better, to ease the guilt that had started to consume them. They tried to sweep everything under the rug, and the teachers did just the same. In fact, they had not even apologized. Today, however, was different. Having stayed up all night for the past 3 days caused my eyes to have deep bags underneath them. I could not get to sleep, pain kept me from properly resting, the scars of my childhood plaguing me constantly. Even now the aching of my bones protested the slight swaying of my arms. My back in a state of burning even with the absence of fire. The painkillers I was now reliant on only lessened the pain to a manageable level. It was my mention of painkillers that reminded me that I had to take them. Taking the lid off my prescription bottle, I looked inside, seeing the last 4 white pills waiting. I had class today, and although I loathed the idea of attending, I had to maintain appearances. Downing the pills in one gulp, I stood from my bed, already dressed in my uniform, before stepping out of my dorm room. Stepping out, I wanted to throw up, unease creeping into my stomach. Something was wrong, I knew there was. This feeling was familiar to me. Closing my eyes, I tried not to recall on the past before I headed to my class. The dorm was already empty, something I was glad to see. That feeling did not last when I reached my desk within Class 1A. The feeling in my stomach worsened as I sat in my desk, placing my head down. I had attempted to soothe my pain when a fellow classmate interrupted me. "Hey Deku. Are you ready for class today?" Ochako Uraraka, a girl I used to consider a friend, one that I used to hope would be something more to me. Now she and her irritating voice brought forth a wave of anger. "Sure, I'm ready." Setting my head back down, the voice of an overbearing shithead of a person, Tenya Ida, also invaded my desk. "We should sit down, Aizawa could be here any second." Chopping his arms like a robot, Ida ushered Uraraka to her seat before he took his. I stared at them for a few seconds and felt my nails dig into my palms. The large classroom opened slowly, Aizawa walking in. Aizawa's tired eyes swept across the class. "Alright, quiet down class, today Nezu is going to make an announcement in the assembly hall in a few minutes, so if I were you, I would get up and get ready to go." The class understood, saying nothing before they slowly packed their bags. Stepping out of the class, the students followed after Aizawa. Izuku followed as well, his stomach still holding an uneasy feeling. "I wonder what Nezu is going to announce." Uraraka blurted out, her brown-colored eyes sweeping over her classmates. "Yeah, me too." "Well, we are going to find out soon. It's got to be important though." Mina Ashido, another one of Izuku's classmates, laced her pink-skinned fingers behind her curly hair. Her carefree and energetic attitude one of the highlights in Class 1A's dreary class. Walking down the hallway, Izuku's ear picked up the faint sound of heavy footsteps. Being at the back of the group, he was the first to see Class 1B being led by their teacher Vlad King and class representative Itsuka Kendo. Kendo was an athletic girl with orange hair and a sideways ponytail, her eyes teal blue in color. Her physique was built for combat, yet she was the center of teasing due to her tomboy personality, bringing a sense of insecurity though it was hidden by her nerves of steel. Izuku kept his eyes focused on her for a total of 4 seconds. At one time he had been shorter than the girl, but now he towered over her. Still, that did not bring a sense of superiority to him. He knew she, out of everyone in her class, could give a good fight. As it turns out, Izuku was not the only one to notice Class 1B's appearance. Momo Yaoyorozu, Class 1A's black-haired beauty, spoke. Her refined voice carrying a small amount of joy due to seeing a friend. "Oh, hello Kendo." Her white teeth showed themselves with a smile before she continued speaking. "I don't suppose you know what this assembly is about, do you?" "Sorry, but I don't have a single clue. Vlad-sensei didn't tell us anything about it." "Isn't it obvious? Principal Nezu has finally seen the superiority of Class B over that 1A sum. Monoma. Blonde hair with gray eyes. Those were the most defining features of the sneering boy. His words barbed and laced with smugness. A side effect from his superiority complex. One that was common in this world. Izuku looked ahead, eyes falling on a head of spiky ash blonde hair. Two narcissists could never coexist. He commented dryly within his thoughts. "What the F did you say, you blonde copycat extra? You and your class of nobodies can't beat me. What a big ego for some dash." Getting chopped in the neck, Monoma was knocked out by Kendo, who apologized as both classes made it to the assembly hall. As I entered the large auditorium, my gaze looked to the large white screen that hung above the stage. Below it, the A staff except for Aizawa and Vlad waited, clearly stalling until the students found their seats. The message had been clear enough that it warranted no instruction. The students one by one took their seats while I was forcibly placed between Ida and Uraraka. It sat down, biting the inside of my cheek as my body screamed. Placing my hands on the armrest, I sat forward so that my back avoided touching the seat. I felt queasy, my vision blurring slightly, a bead of sweat dripping down my face and towards my chin. A panic attack. I bounced my knee. Why was I panicking? I looked to the walls, the seat in front of me, and white screen repeatedly. My thoughts became jumbled up. Welcome, students. I'm glad that you all could make it to this very special announcement. I looked up, seeing Nezu on stage with a microphone in hand. Special announcement. As far as I knew, there was not any big holiday coming up, nor were there any school events planned. I was not the only one confused, small murmur breaking out between the students. Is it another villain attack? Did something happen? It can't be bad, right? Those were only the small glimpses I could catch before Nezu spoke once more. Now, before you all assume the worst. This announcement is not because of a villain attack. There were small gasps of relief in the crowd, but that all ceased once Nezu continued. No, instead I bring news of a once-in-a-lifetime experience for a student. This year we will be bringing back a long-standing tradition. That is the hero versus villains wargame. The screen above Nezu lit up with large text displaying an image of All Might and Endeavor clashing, both noticeably younger. The last time this game was held was when All Might himself was but a first year in UA. Now it is time for this generation to bring it back. Narrowing my eyes, I could tell Nezu was doing this for himself and that he just wanted drama, a form of entertainment, like we were his own personal toys. My peers were shocked at this announcement. It shone on their faces clear as day, while the pain in my stomach remained. The teachers were excited at the prospect of spectating a game they had also participated in, while Aizawa looked indifferent. Seeing all the shocked faces, Nezu spoke once more. All right, students, on the large board above us we will randomly select 2 leaders. One for the villain team and one for the hero team, after that the rest of the students will split away from the leaders and choose their team, the villains on the left and the heroes on the right. Now let's see who the leader of the hero team is. Pressing a button, a long list of names and pictures spun in random order for about a minute until it stopped. And the leader of the hero team is Katsuki Bakugu. Eat that, you shitty extras. I am the hero leader. Cackling Bakugu popped explosions in his hands. My eyes closed and my hand gripped the armrest. Hero. Him. That bstrd, even now I held my head trying to slow my breathing. It was burning again. Looking back up to the board, I heard Nezu commence the selection for the villain leader, and as I turned my head, I saw every one of my classmates praying it wasn't them when I heard the magical name that blasted throughout the auditorium. The villain team leader is Izuku Midoriya. I could only stare blankly as I stifled the small chuckle building in my throat. Of course, it's me. This was on purpose. The look in that bstrd Nezu's eyes told me so. I was not the only person who found this stupid SHT ironic, apparently, as the familiar voice of Bakugu yelled out. I guess it's only right that the traitor of you A is the villain. You shitty Deku. I oughta crush you now. Explosions burst from Bakugu's palms and all I could do is stare at him. I knew the teachers would not step in. They were not the first ones to not help, and they certainly will not be the last either. This was the reality I had been forced to accept, but that did not make it better. The grip that had slowly been lessening grew hard once more. A spark of OFA running through my hand. I could hear the wood creaking before my body grew tense. A hand being placed on my shoulder. It's alright, Deku, I know you wanted to be a hero. It was Uraraka, her eyes saddened with a small smile on her face. Hearing that, I looked at her before my surroundings, and all around were looks of pity. It was in that instance that I was back in Muzutafu, in a time before you, just like everyone else. I was so tired of that stare, that tone of voice. They act like they are sad for me, but all of them are happy they aren't me. I could not help but remember when they betrayed me. All of them act like parasites. They leech off someone until they either kill them or get what they need. These things are not people. Now that we have our team leaders, it's time for the rest of you to pick teams. Katsuki Bakugu, Izuku Midoriya, please come down and wait for your teammates. Following his instruction, I made my way down before being told to stand on the left side of the stage and wait, which I did. After about 10 minutes of choosing, every student went on the right side, meaning they were a part of the hero team. Whether it was a game or not, they didn't want to be a villain, so obviously, they chose the heroes. Which meant I was left alone staring at all my friends, even Shinso, who I got into the class. This was a familiar sight. Everyone I knew was against me, even the ones I helped. WW8 Deku is all alone. This can't be fair, Principal Nezu. What can Deku do to all of us by himself? Yelling out in protest about the teams, Uraraka turned to Principal Nezu. Alone, you say? You hate seeing me like this, but I don't see your feet moving. I shook my head, teeth clenching with only slight pressure. Those doubtful eyes, I will tear them from your skulls. No more will you look down on me. I'll show you just how far I can bring you down. Third person POV. Oh my, it seems some rearrangements in the teams are in order, saying that almost all of the hero team complained. Before Nezu could explain to them that it would only make things fair, Izuku spoke up. Principal Nezu, leave the teams as they are. Are you sure, Midoriya? With concern, every teacher looked at Izuku, wondering if he was all right with going against everyone. I'm sure. This will be a fantastic opportunity to see how I do when I work alone. Not every situation in hero work will the hero outnumber the villains. Like the U.S.J, it can be a whole army where the odds aren't in the hero's favor. Izuku brought his stare to the floor. Opening his left hand, he activated OFA, the lightning bouncing on his arm before it cut off. That was not before a stray bolt crawled up his arm, hitting his left eye. The teachers could not argue with Izuku's statement. Aizawa more than anyone else in the room knew that what he was saying was the truth. Nezu put a paw to his cheek, a contemplating look on his fur-covered face. Well, it seems as if Midoriya has made his choice. What you can't be serious. Increased protests were thrown around by a select few, mainly the people who once claimed to be his friends. I'm very serious. Midoriya wanted this, and I respect his decision to do this alone. So now that we have that settled, I will hand out rule books to the leaders, and I will call each leader one after the other so they can ask any questions about the rules. Bakugo, make sure you read the whole rule book, and after you are finished be in my office in 1 hour. You are next after him, Midoriya. Now classes will be suspended until the game is over, so you are all dismissed back to the dorms. Prepare yourself, you all have 5 days before the game begins. Prepare. Yeah, right, this is going to be easy. Putting his hands behind his back, Kaminari walked with the rest of the class, some muttering how this wouldn't be a game at all. After they left, Nezu handed the rule books to Izuku and Bakugo, telling them to study hard as it is their responsibility to share the rules with their team members. Taking a different side of the stage, both Izuku and Bakugo got to reading the rule books, with Bakugo sending a glare at Izuku's way on every page. Izuku took more time, and by the time Bakugo had been called up to Nezu's office, Izuku had already started his 7th reading of the rulebook. The words engraved into his eyes. Izuku POV. I closed the rulebook. There was nothing more it could offer me, and as such I had no intention of starting another read. The rules were simple: no maiming, no killing, and no permanent injury to participants. Yet the word permanently was loose. In fact, most rules here had a lot of wiggle room. The other rules were worded by Nezu in ways that could be interpreted in many tones. All that mattered was in what way. This was deliberately done. I rubbed my forehead. Nezu was a cruel and sadistic bstrd. Though that was just an overstatement, by far he was less cruel than no, he was far better than them all. I sighed, my left hand sliding down my forehead and to my left eye. I had mostly ignored it until now, but my iris burned. Digging into my pocket, I pulled out my phone, or what looked like one. It was not as advanced as the ones everyone else had, rather it was 3 generations behind, but this was all I had. Staring at the cracked screen, I forced my eyelids apart. My iris had gone slit, and the emerald green, it seemed to glow whenever the light struck it. I wanted to look more into it, but before I could, the loudspeaker in the room went off. Izuku, Midoriya, please come to my office. Sighing, I got up, taking my rule book with me. After a short walk I finally got to his office, and after knocking on the door I was allowed in. Ah, Midoriya, I hope you have more questions. Unlike Bakugo did, it only took around a third of the time to answer his questions. Folding his paws over the desk, Nezu looked me straight in the eyes. Bakugo was in the top 5 in class 1A in academics, but he probably figured I wasn't worth the brainpower. Underestimating me again, good. I looked back at Nezu taking a seat placed before his desk. Yes, I'm confident that I do. Assuming we can get straight to it, am I allowed help from other classes? Why, yes, you can. I was sure someone would find that loophole. I am glad to see it was you. As long as that help does not involve the hero team in any way, then it is permissible. My lips formed a smile hearing that answer. There were plenty of more loopholes I could ask about, but unpredictability is anyone's strongest weapon. Nezu was brilliant, so revealing anything to him was not in my best interest. Still, I had to make him think I was competent. As such, I asked 3 important questions. Alright, continuing, Nezu, to what extent can I hurt the members of the other team, and if I'm allowed, may I use guns and explosives, not to kill, of course. Finally, what if a hero kills another hero? Nezu looked to me as if he were sizing me up before nodding. Well, anything except for killing and permanent immobilization is allowed, and for the guns and explosives I will allow it. However, during the 5 days of planning, you are going to be training in how to use them properly with Snipe, at which, if he deems it, you will be certified. As for the hero killing another hero, the one who had done the killing would be disqualified from the game. Thank you for your time, Principal Nezu. Although this conversation was short, I so enjoyed it. If I have any more concerns, I will return here regularly. Well, I look forward to that time. Now, before you go, I must ask. These questions aren't random, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't wonder what you were planning. Nezu, if you knew how everything in the world was going to play out, would it be interesting? No, I can't say that it would. Then why should I tell you what my plans are? This is a game after all. I got up from my chair. There was no reason to stay, I had already gotten what I wanted. A word of advice, Nezu. I would avoid asking the questions that turn this fun little wargame into an actual war. Actually, maybe you should, this is just for your entertainment. Walking out, I felt Nezu's questioning glare in my back, but all could do was grin as I closed the door. I already knew what my next stop was, and it so happened to be the support studio. I made my way down the empty halls. The students not involved in this wargame were still in class. I was okay with this. It was during rare times like these that I did not have to deal with another person. I walked for what I estimated to be 5 minutes until the metallic clangs of metal pierced my ears, through the wall next to me. Good, she's here. I could not fight the smile that tugged at my lips. May Hatsum, an eccentric, blunt girl. Her salmon-pink shoulder-length hair fashioned in thick dreadlocks. Her golden cross-pupiled eyes and appealing face. SHT, what am I thinking? I shook my head, clearing my thoughts. Now was not the time for this. Maybe there never would. I grabbed the handle of the support studio door before throwing it open. May, I need your help making a baby. Closing the door, I looked. May snapped her head towards me before coming close to my face, but had trouble due to our height difference. Still, she did try a heroic effort in doing so, eventually just grabbing my collar before pulling my face down closer. Muscles. What type of babies do you have in mind? Clutching at my shirt, I could see her eyes filled with excitement. She did look a bit happy to see me, but I chalked it up due to my sudden request for her to build something. Relax, I need some drones so I can spy on the hero team and a suit to wear for protection. Grabbing her wrists gently, I unclasped her hands from my collar. Oh. Okay, I heard about that, but I know you can manage it. May waved dismissively as if the situation I were in was just a mild annoyance, though her confidence in me was refreshing. Have you been sleeping? Because you kind of look like SHT, worse than how used to be actually. I could not help but chuckle. That bluntness was what I most liked about May. Not for 3 days. Sitting down at May's design table, I rubbed my eyes. Was it because of the pain? May's voice sounded a little down. I watched as she took a seat next to me. Yeah, it's been getting worse. I did not lie to her. She was one of the few people who knew the amount of pain I was in. I still do not know why she cared, but I never asked. I was just grateful. Have you seen Recovery Girl yet? No, but I plan to. I placed my hand on my thigh before May put hers on top of it. Good eye, it won't be so good if the specimen for evaluating my babies suddenly couldn't do it anymore. I looked at May as she took her hand away, the warmth of her hand disappearing. It sounded like she wanted to say something else but stopped herself. Still, she looked into my eyes before raising an eyebrow. Hey, did your eye color change? Third POV. May stared at Izuku's left eye, perplexed by it. Still near Izuku, she subconsciously took a hold of his face. Her palm on his cheek, she leaned forward, her mouth nearing Izuku's, the boy feeling her shallow breath tickle his skin. She stared at the eye with intensity. Why is it, the way it glowed dimly, the dangerous look it held deep within, it drew her in. May. May blinked, eyes searching the area before she realized how close she was to Izuku. She could almost feel his lips on hers. Her cheeks heated up rapidly, a growing blush spreading across her face. Her heartbeat went erratic before she jumped back and off her chair. She spun on her heel so that her back faced Izuku. So yeah. Your eye changed. Looks cool. Better make sure you are not dying or anything. A suit, drones, and new gear. I will get right on it. Izuku looked at May with a questioning gaze. Yeah, I'll do that. He could see her blush even though she was not facing him. Scratching his cheek, he knew that this was not the time to mention it. By the way, the drones need to be small enough to where they cannot be detected, and the gear needs to be intimidating, something that will help me strike fear. So whatever idea you produce will be appreciated. May shot her arm out to the side with a thumbs up. Alright muscles, I can get the drones done by tomorrow, but the gear is going to take a lot longer. Izuku smiled before he turned to face the door. Thanks, May, you're the only person I can ask for help. It's no big deal. Thanks for letting me work on these babies. Before you go, make sure you get some sleep. Sure, I'll try. I will be here tomorrow when I can. See you then. As soon as Izuku left the room, he heard a metallic crash before the sounds of May frantically working reached his ears. Izuku's POV: I left the area after hearing May working. There was a quarter left in the day, but my body was exhausted. That itself came with its own set of problems. The painkillers I had taken earlier were already losing its effect on me. I've built up too much of a resistance. This happened every so often, so I knew that I had to go to Recovery Girl. The one other person in this school that I can trust. It didn't take long to reach her office, and once I did, I entered, seeing the elderly woman dressed in a nurse outfit typing on the computer. My entrance caught her attention almost immediately, her head turning to my direction. What is it, Sunny? Hey, Recovery Girl, I need some stronger painkillers and some sleep medication. Leaning against the wall, I watched Recovery hop out of her chair using her cane, walking over to the large medicine cabinet, grabbing 2 sets of pills. While May knew of my pain, Recovery Girl understood it, as such she did her best to provide me with the medication I needed to function. Now Sunny, I recommend you only take 2 of these painkillers. These are almost double the strength of your current prescription, and for the sleeping pills only 1. Now, is anything else wrong with you? Yeah, my eye seems to have been affected by OFA. Sitting down on the medical bed in the room, I opened my eyes as Recovery Girl shined a light in them. Yes, your left eye seems the most affected. Is there any loss of vision, focus, hurting, anything of the sort? No, there hasn't been any change other than the eye color and shape. Taking the pills off of the table, Recovery Girl set them on. I took out 2 painkillers, taking them, waiting for them to take effect. Well, if there isn't anything wrong, then it seems to be fine. Now if at any point you need more pills, come see me right away. Yes, man, thank you. Standing up, I made my way to the exit, hearing RG's voice. No problem, Sunny, anytime. Smiling, I left, finally heading to the dorms, and after a short walk I made it. Opening the door, I saw all my classmates laughing and hanging out. Going to the stairs, I was stopped by Uraraka. What do you want? Deku, I want you to reconsider going alone. There is no way you can take us all on. I did not bother turning my head. Maybe not. Still, I won't know if I don't try in the first place. Not even looking at her, I turned my attention back on getting to my dorm room when I heard the last voice I wanted to hear tonight. You should listen to round-faced Deku, because this is going to be the easiest fight. You might as well give up like you should have done in the first place. You're nothing, and the hero team will kick your sorry butt. Just by his voice, I could hear the grin he had on his face. We'll see, Bakugo. After I'm done, you and your hero team will be nothing. Clenching my fists, I didn't say anything more as I continued to my dorm, while more and more insults were thrown at me from Bakugo. Finally, I arrived at more dorm, setting the pills from Recovery Girl on my nightstand. My chest grew hot, my body tensing slightly. Soon, they will all know how wrong they are. I will break their confidence, I will break their bodies, I will reduce them to nothing. Gritting my teeth, I looked at the All Might posters decorating my room. The urge to tear the posters down was nigh unbearable. I did not do anything about this feeling. Instead, I sat back down on my bed and stared at my collection of All Might paraphernalia. My head thumped in pain, grabbing it. OFA activated, but it was not of my own volition. Lying back on my bed, the pain got worse. It did not match the intensity of the pain I felt every day. However, this did not make it hurt any less. It was not only in my head, as I felt burning on the left side of my chest, abdomen, ribs, back, and arm. I blinked, I could feel myself slipping away before my vision went black. Opening my eyes, I woke up in the familiar void of One for All, with all the users looking straight at me, and unlike before, I could see most of them. Nana Shimura was the first to speak up. Izuku Midoriya, we have seen your trials and tribulations as of late, and in regard to Toshinori, I apologize. The users before you have decided that although you're working on your control, we will permit you to use 30% with no repercussion, and along with that we will grant you one of our quirks, which you would have been able to inherit later. Looking at the users in front of me, I saw the fifth user stand up before walking towards me. Kid, my quirk Black WHP is dangerous, but since it's fully augmented with OFA it's going to be harder to control. Now this wasn't how you were supposed to unlock it, and when you wake up there will be some changes. You're left. I was the first, so prepare yourself. Looking down at the fifth's hand, I saw him holding a colored star that was black with a colorful outline. Watching, I saw him shove the star into my left arm as pain filled my senses. Waking up in sweat, I felt the burning sensation still running down my arm and to my waist before it stopped. Standing up, I went over to the mirror, taking off my shirt while lowering my pants, seeing what looked like a large marking wrapped around the parts of my body that had burned before I fell unconscious. Looking back in the mirror, I saw my hair changed a large patch as well. Of it had been bled of color, only remaining pure white, while the rest of my hair was still dark green, but unlike before when it was curly, it laid flat on my head. Checking my eyes, I still see the glowing green slit eye with bulging lines coming from below and atop it. Checking my other eye, I saw it had also gone slit, but it didn't glow, remaining it still emerald green. The more I looked, the more I realized I looked the part of a villain. I smiled, the wheels in my head turning. So, these are the changes they said, I wonder. I stopped my line of thinking, which would be something I would need to assess later. Let's get the preparation started, shall we? Prep Day 1. Izuku POV. Wiping the smile off my face, I looked at the clock on the nightstand, reading that it was 5:30 a.m. I guess that OFA dream took longer than I realized. Standing away from the mirror, I reached inside myself like how I usually went, full cowling, but unlike the normal 8%, I bumped it to 30%, feeling a much bigger boost without any hurting whatsoever. I felt the lightning dance around my body as it was vibrant green. Raising my left arm, I extended it, feeling a tugging feeling in it. I pulled, and like that I watched as the tattoo started getting darker before a black tentacle whipped out of my arm, hitting the floor, causing a loud crash, but luckily nothing was broken. Cutting off OFA, the substance receded into my arm, the tattoos going back to normal. Shaking my head, I felt my stomach rumble as I skipped dinner last night. Going into my closet, I grabbed a long sleeve and a sweater, putting the hood up covering my hair while the tattoos were covered up. Grabbing the jar of painkillers, I exited my dorm room. Ida was right in front of my face. As quickly as I could, I put my head low, hiding my eyes as he spoke to me. Midoriya, are you okay? I heard something crash coming from your room. I'm fine. But, closing my door fully, I walked past Ida, the pills rattling in my pocket as I took slow steps down the stairs. Coming into the kitchen, I headed straight to the cabinet, grabbing a bowl and a spoon, setting them down before getting the cereal and the milk. Putting my spoon in the bowl, I took a few bites before the rest of the class woke up. Seeing them enter the common room, I tried not to get angry, especially when Uraraka ran up to me. Good morning, Deku. What are you planning on doing for the prep time? Sorry, Uraraka, I can't tell you. Turning away from her, I took the spoon back into my hand. Why can't she just leave me the F alone? Bringing the spoon up, I was hit with pain, causing me to drop the spoon back in the bowl. My hand had the familiar sensation of when I broke it and shattered my bones, saving Kota from muscular. Pushing through the pain, I picked the spoon back up, finishing my cereal, as I couldn't just take painkillers right in front of the class. They would look at me with pity like in the assembly. Standing up, I put the bowl in the sink, before making my way outside the dorm, taking 2 painkillers. The pain in my hand stopped as I entered the menu. A building. Heading up the stairs, I went to Snipe's office. Knocking on the door, I heard Snipe call me in. Midoriya, Principal Nezu told me to expect you today. I must say that your request for guns, explosives, and being alone surprised me. Yeah, well, I wanted to test myself, and the guns and explosives will help me win this. And also, could you keep this secret? I'll keep it secret, so let's see how you do. Follow me. Walking after Snipe, he leads me into a shooting range that he used for practice. Watching, I saw him load a Glock 18 before pulling the slide back. Putting the safety on, he handed it to me. Directing, he placed me in one of the ranges a body target was placed on. Alright, now using guns, you have to make sure you know where your finger is at all times. Next, never point your weapon at anyone who you aren't targeting, and make sure you keep aware of your surroundings. Now bay your left finger, there is the safety right now, it's on, but if you push in the little button it turns the safety off. Listening to his explanation, I switched off the safety when he told me to. Aiming at the target, I decided to get a few test shots. Shooting, I felt the recoil heavily affect my aim, not nearing anywhere on the target. No good, I have to keep my aim steady as to not let the recoil affect me. That's alright, it was your first shot, now try again. Aiming again, I took several shots, adjusting every time until I hit the last shot right in the center of the chest target. Holding out another clip, Snipe showed me how to reload efficiently, and following his instructions I did it flawlessly. For the next 3 hours, I used as many clips as I can, becoming deadly accurate, hitting the center of the body, arms, and head. Even Snipe was impressed. Jesus kid, you're a natural at using guns, and I can say that you're allowed to use them, though I have to ask you, obviously not allowed to use real bullets, so what do you plan on using instead? Well, I plan on using red paint. Alright, well, now it's time for you to learn how to use explosives. Now from what I understand you intend to use C4 and grenades. Yeah, the C4 will be real explosives, and I will check in with Nezu before they are set off so no one is accidentally injured, but the grenades will be like my bullets. Alright, well, we will start with grenades, and after C4 this will take longer, so I want you to come here every day to train in whatever guns you will use and these explosives. Yeah, I planned on doing that. After that, Snipe and I practiced using grenades and the C4 in another area Snipe had requested Nezu made. Through this process, however, a mishap caused the hoodie I was wearing to uncover my hair and my left eye. Without being able to cover it, Snipe called me out. Midoriya, what happened to your hair and eye? It's nothing, Snipe-sensei, my quirk caused a few changes with my hair and eye, but I already checked in with recovery girl, nothing is wrong. Saying a white lie, I saw Snipe's eyes narrow before he conceded. Alright, well, as long as recovery girl said it was fine then it's alright, but training is over for today, so meet here tomorrow same time. Nodding my head, I put my hoodie back up before walking out of the room. Heading to the support studio, I planned to pick up the drones May said she had made. Walking in, I saw May sleeping on the work table drooling. Sighing, I took off my hoodie before laying it on top of her. Looking across the table, I saw our blueprints on the other side, and on top of them were 3 miniature drones. May really outdid herself. These will definitely work. Examining it, I didn't know May woke up until I felt her hands on my shoulders. Turning my head slightly, I heard May speak to me before her grip tightened on my shoulders and an eerie smile was adorned her face. Who are you and why are you touching my babies? Remembering the appearance change, I set the drone down. May, it's me, Izuku Midoriya. Oh, muscles. How do you like the drones? They might be some of the best babies I've made yet. Realizing who I was, May turned me around, staring directly into my eyes, smiling, expecting my praise. Yeah, I was really impressed, they are perfect. Smiling, I looked back at May, who was extremely happy for some odd reason before her look turns to one of confusion. Muscles, what is all this? Why is your hair different and your eye have marks near them? Realizing she could see my hair and eyes, I looked to the floor where the hoodie I put over her laid. Worried, May started scanning my hair and face. Muscles, is something wrong? Are you okay? It was at this point I saw May almost in tears. Quickly my hero instinct kicked in as I pulled her into a hug. I'm alright, May, this isn't anything to worry about. My quirk changed some things in my appearance, but it's alright. Still hugging me, May rubbed her face in my chest before she looked up, a blush on her face. Huh, that's weird. Are you alright now? Keeping my hands on her back, I rubbed it up and down. I'm alright, sorry Muscles for ruining your shirt. Third person, still embarrassed, May stepped back from Izuku, taking in his new looks. Ever since the other day, whenever she was with Izuku she felt a sense of embarrassment for some of her actions, and whenever she thought about him her heart beat faster. Shaking it off, May put her attention back to the drones Izuku was looking at. Well, back to the baby's Muscles. Going over to the table, May picked up one of the drones before turning back to Izuku. These babies are super special. The drones are completely undetectable. The stealth capabilities make this baby completely silent in the air, and the cameras come with mics as well, so you can hear everything that comes through. Give me your phone. Holding her hand out, May waited for Izuku, who pulled his phone out in confusion. Why do you need my phone? Well, I'm going to install software to where you can watch the cameras and control the drones, now give it. Looking, she saw Izuku hand the phone to her with his left hand, which she noticed some markings on. Grabbing the phone, Mei figured she would ask later, as she tinkered with Izuku's phone. After a few minutes, Mei handed the phone back to Izuku, going over to his side as she explained how to control the drones. Okay, it's done. So to turn on the drones you press this button, and these buttons are used to control the drone's flight. The camera footage will be uploaded directly to your camera roll, so all you need to do is scroll through it. Wow, Mei. I was impressed with the design itself, but this is amazing. With a small smile Izuku looked at Mei, who shared his smile with him. Mei was excited. Izuku actually thought her baby was amazing, her blush returning full blast. After speaking about the progress of his new villain suit and the gadgets. Discussing a little further, Mei and Izuku decided that he would come back after tomorrow as he had to focus on training his quirk. Izuku's POV: after saying grabbing my hoodie and the drones, I said bye to Mei before leaving to train Black WHP. From this morning I could tell it was a dangerous quirk if my desk being split in half with no effort was any indication. Sighing, I walked down the halls until I heard my name, young Midoriya. Breathing out, I made sure my hood was up before turning to All Might, my supposed mentor. Yes, All Might. Looking at AM, I really wanted the conversation to end. My boy, I was concerned when you want to do this alone, so I came to ask, do you need help with anything at all? So now you want to help. What about when I was accused of being a traitor? You didn't help me then, so why are you offering it now? You don't think I can do this, do you? Breathing slowly, I tried not to lose my cool. Turning around, I gave my answer. I don't need help, All Might, I'll do this myself. Storming off, I had to release my pent-up anger. Going to the nearest gym that was empty, I activated full cowling before extending Black WHP, using it as much as I could while I raised full cowling to 30%. It took hours, but I finally got done releasing my frustration, but by the time I was done it was nearing the end of the day. It was then that I realized that due to my anger that I neglected to use the drones to spy on my class. Angry with myself, I sighed before going back to the dorms, and entering the common room I saw all my classmates laughing and having a good time eating snacks while watching TV. Seeing all of them lazying around, it was apparent that even without me using the drones today, these pricks. Walking into the kitchen, I grabbed 3 sports bars before walking up the stairs, ignoring all of the commotion until I reached my room. Opening the door, I avoided the trash and rubble before sitting on my bed. Taking my painkillers out of my pocket, I put them on the nightstand. I guess these work. I didn't need to take more than 2 for the whole day, thanks recovery girl. Eating the sports bars, I drank from a water bottle I kept in my room. After finishing, I took a sleeping pill in my hand before drinking it down. Undressing, I put on a pair of shorts before heading to sleep, but not before I set the drones on my desk, placing my phone on the charger before the sleeping pill started taking effect. Laying on my bed, I closed my eyes as sleep overtook my senses and I faded into unconsciousness. Prep Day 2 Izuku POV. Waking up, I wiped the drowsiness off my face. Despite going to sleep, I might as well not have. Sitting up, I looked over to see it was 4 a.m. and so I grabbed a towel, planning on showering before anyone can see my tattoos or hair. Getting out of my dorm room, I arrived at the showers and seeing no one there, I took my time washing off my body as the hot water woke me up. Making a mental list, I thought of what I needed to do today. First, training lessons with Snipe. I would visit Mei, but I should use the time to spy on the heroes, and finally train Black WHP. I still don't have any control, and if I'm going to win I need everything within my disposal. After finishing my shower, I cracked my neck. Before using the towel I brought to dry myself, wiping one of the mirrors in the bathroom, I stared at my reflection. Breathing, I shook my head before exiting and going back to my dorm. Getting dressed in some sweatpants and a long-sleeve shirt, grabbing the drones Mei made and the painkillers, I left, making a stop at the kitchen, grabbing a water bottle and protein bar, heading out before anyone woke up. Going to Gym Gamma, I had about an hour or 2 before training with Snipe, so I turning on the drones, I tested them, recording footage, audio, and everything, especially making sure they wouldn't just explode on me. After a thorough test, I was more than satisfied with the results. Just like Mei said, any recording was set directly to my phone. Flying each drone one at a time, I set them up in specific locations. Not being able to control them while I was training, I set the first drone in the common room of the class 1 dorm, as it seems that's where everyone meets up. The second drone was placed on the balcony of my room. All of the open space that I would assume the heroes would use for training was under surveillance. Finally, the last drone, I decided to place it inside Gym Gamma just in case anyone were to train in here. Making sure they were all recording, I checked the time to see that setting up the drones took most of my time and I only had 15 minutes left until I train with Snipe. Quickly I ate the small breakfast I had with me, before leaving heading back to Snipe's personal training area. Walking in, he treated me as usual and the training started. Shooting the usual Glock 18, Snipe suddenly stopped me. Midoriya, I see that you're ready for something stronger in regards to sidearms, so here, this is a customized 45mm long slide hard baller pistol. This comes with a laser sight, so all you need to do is aim, put your finger on the trigger and the bullet will go where the laser is. If you know where this is from, then you are the best. Using it, I quickly found out this would be perfect for taking out the hero team in droves, giving them no chance to escape. The accuracy was pinpoint and the power was devastating, so I wanted as much practice with it as I could. I practiced as much as I could with Snipe, but as I was shooting the Barrett, my plane flared up, making me miss my shot entirely as I let go and gripped my right hand. Snipe, seeing me fall to the ground, running up to me, kneeling while supporting me. Midoriya, what's wrong? Do you need to go to recover, girl? I am fine. Reaching into my pocket, I pulled out my painkillers, which Snipe raised an eyebrow at. Taking a pill, I swallowed it as the pain went away. Leaning on the wall, Snipe looked at me. Midoriya, those are pretty strong painkillers. How long have you been taking these? These exact ones, I've only been taking for about a day. Before this though, I took painkillers daily ever since the training camp attack. Recovery girl said that my bones never healed properly, so they constantly flare up my pain receptors. Closing and opening my hand to get the feeling back in it, I looked at Snipe, who through his mask I can tell was very concerned. Don't look at me like that, I don't need your sympathy, let's just continue. Getting back up, I ignored Snipe as I continued practicing, blocking out everything else in my mind, the target and the holes I caused to appear being the only thing that mattered. Later that day, having finished training with Snipe, I headed to the roof of the school, and making it up there I immediately started watching the drone footage, and what I saw was exactly what I wanted. Barely any training was happening. Bakugo hadn't told them the rules like he was supposed to, and most of the class slacked off, with 1B with only Kendo, Uraraka, Pony, Ida, Bakugo, Kirishima, and Tetsu were training, but it couldn't really be called that. It was more like light exercising, like someone following a disciplined routine they had already been accustomed to. Switching from camera footage to the next, I cycled through them, seeing nothing worthy of note. Turning my phone off, I sat on the edge of the roof. As expected, they aren't taking me seriously, but that won't end very well for them. Taking a sigh, I looked at the floor below me. You know, it wasn't long ago that I considered jumping off the roof of Aldra. Chuckling at myself, I still toyed with why exactly I didn't jump, but I guess fate decided otherwise. Shaking my head, I got away from the edge, deciding now I would start training black WHP, so leaving the roof I went to the small forest area that was near the dorms. Stretching, I activated OFA lightning bouncing off of me, and focusing, I felt the same sensation of my tattoo when I first attempted black WHP. Letting out a lot of the black substance, I held my arm trying to contain it as it tried to go haywire. Clenching my arm, I focused on containment, and after a few minutes, I was finally able to rein in on the whips, them going slack before they almost all of them returned to my arm except for one. Figuring it was better that way, I slowly got the feel of it, trying to visualize it as an extension to my arm that I can control. It was rough, but I can somewhat get the beginning stages of what seems like partial control. Practicing for a few hours, it was quickly turning night, and at around sunset, I heard the voice of someone coming into the woods. Quickly I jumped into a nearby tree before cutting off OFA as I hid in the tree. Waiting, I saw Uraraka walk into the open field looking at the sunset. Watching her, I narrowed my eyes before hearing her speak out to herself. "Oh, Izuku, why won't you give up? But that's what I love about you, that is what made me want to be with you. I don't want to have to fight you, so please give up." Sitting down, Uraraka kept muttering to herself. Hearing this, I wasn't surprised or happy. My schoolboy crush on her died the moment she betrayed me. If anything, May was the only girl he felt anything for now, so now she claims to love me, to not wanting to fight. Not realizing it, but the bark my left hand was holding onto was slowly breaking. Sitting in the tree I watched as that sniffling pile of garbage wallowed in her own self-pity. But then it hit me, she just allowed another tool for me to use, her love will bring me closer to victory. Smiling I sat on the tree waiting to hear everything I could use to manipulate the hero team from the inside. Thank you Eureka, your idiocracy will lead my victory. Listening to all her secrets, to all her vulnerabilities, I smiled through it all. More and more information than I could possibly hope for came directly from the source. After an hour Eureka finally left, and making sure she was gone I started training Black WHP once again. Plan after plan came to my head all the while. Staying up all night I never rested, getting used to the 30% of OFA and Black WHP. Until the night sky started getting a little brighter, it was then that I decided to relax before I start another day of training. Prep Day 3, Lucifer laying in the forest near the dorms. I looked up at the ray of sunlight that shone on my face, blocking the light with my arm. I sighed, I was utterly exhausted, I hadn't slept at all last night. My mind was on overdrive after Eureka spilled her guts out, and training Black WHP was harder than I had anticipated. The fifth user even told me this himself, but for the most part, I think I've done a lot. I managed to gain full control over one strand of Black WHP, but that isn't what I want. I need to release and control even more, and despite having control of it I have yet to find a way to use it effectively. Checking my phone I saw it was time for training once again, so reluctantly I dragged myself up, walking to you. No rest for the wicked. Later, walking down the halls I was heading for the development studio. During Snipe's training I received a text from May who had said she finally accomplished most of my villain suit if I wanted to see or make some critiques. Not seeing any harm, I thought that if I wanted to change something now would be the time. Getting to the door I knocked, waiting for the go-ahead, which I eventually got. Third-person POV, come in, yelling. May scrambled in the development trying to tidy up as Izuku walked in. Seeing him May brightened up, smiling. Hey, Izuku. Are you here to see the cool villain costume I made? Going up to Izuku, May got as close as she could to the boy. Smiling at her enthusiasm, Izuku answered, I sure am, May. I really want to see what you have done, and if it's anything like the drones you made then I'm sure they will be fantastic. Hearing this, May was happy about the drones, so rushing she pulled out all the gear and the villain costume she made. Setting it down on the table she presented everything to him. Alright, now we have your costume, some custom blades, and finally your mask. Looking at them, Izuku picked up the knives first, seeing to small easily concealable knives. May, you know I'm not allowed to kill, right? Inspecting the blades, Izuku looked curiously at May, who swiftly took one of the knives, slashing it against her throat. Shocked, Izuku ran to May, holding her neck. "Mei. What the hell did you do?" Holding it, Izuku was confused when no more BLD appeared. Blushing at Izuku's close contact, May spoke, giggling a little bit. "Izuku, it's fine, I know you can't kill, so these knives only make a line of fake BLD once pressure is applied to the skin. See." Setting the knife down on the table, May took Izuku's hands away where only a small but noticeable line of fake BLD was. Sighing in relief, Izuku shook his head. "Jesus, May, you couldn't have shown me another way." Whispering, Izuku muttered under his breath, "What would I do if you were gone?" Izuku didn't know that May had heard what he said, and turning around, May breathed slowly, calming herself and her blush. Sorry, but it was pretty funny. Ahem. Anyway, the blades apply more BLD the more pressure you place. Now for the rest of your gear." Turning back around, May grabbed Izuku, showing him a nice suit and a mask. Picking the suit up first, Izuku took it to a small room near the development studio, putting it on before walking out. Suit number 2, and with his hair and eyes in the previous chapters, checking himself in the mirror, Izuku loved the outfit, and by May's blush, one could tell she did also. Walking up to the mirror beside Izuku, smoothing out the shoulder before explaining it. "Alright, so this baby is equipped with the best armor I could make. The entire suit is made from a polyethylene and titanium armor mesh, providing protection and flexibility. Now in addition there is some added insulation, providing resistance against explosions, electricity, and extreme temperatures. And although it looks like the undershirt won't be of any protection, it's actually the toughest part, only appearing weak. The shoes are special as well, having steel implanted on the bottom soles, keeping your feet comfortable while your attacks with them stay devastating. They are also fitted with sound dampeners, meaning although you won't be unhearable, it definitely helps. The gloves also have knuckle plating for your punches. Mei turning to Izuku waited for his say on the villain outfit. Fitting himself, Izuku listened to Mei's every word and realized how much care she put into this just for him, and as she said, despite there being massive upgrades, it was still comfortable and easy to move in. Stretching, Izuku turned to Mei, I don't know how you do it, but you always impress me. The drones were cool, but this is absolutely astonishing. Never in my wildest dreams could I have come up with something like this. You're truly a one-of-a-kind genius. Blushing, Mei's heart jumped at the praise Izuku gave her. That's what she wanted to hear, but looking at the table she remembered the final piece to tie it all together. Grabbing the mask, she went behind Izuku before reaching up and putting the mask in front of him. Wait, don't forget the mask. Grabbing it, Izuku looked at the inside, seeing a weird mesh, and his mask, like his previous ones, looked like the resemblance of teeth, but instead of All Might's smile, it was a dragon's mouth. Putting the red mask on, Izuku looked in the mirror and there he saw that Mei was right, the mask fit perfectly with the outfit. Despite it being one solid piece, Izuku had no trouble breathing and it felt perfect for him. No hood, this mask is made from the same alloy as your suit and it's breathable. Inside there are filters so that if by some chance something other than air were to get in, it would quickly be filtered out. And before you ask, it's a dragon's mouth because I thought it fits your hair and eyes, while the red makes it all the more intimidating. Looking at himself, Izuku spoke, thank you Mei, this will work perfectly. Talking for a bit more, Mei looked straight at Izuku, asking him a question she had been dying to know. So Izuku, what's going to be your villain name? Still wearing the suit and mask, Izuku put a hand to his chin. The question Mei had asked him made him think. So far he didn't have a villain name. Racking his brain for a name, Izuku finally settled on one. I think I'll be Lucifer, the fallen angel. Liking the name, Mei immediately spoke about how cool it was and how it really fits with his look as well. Izuku couldn't help but agree, and for an hour or two Mei and Izuku just talked to each other, enjoying each other's company until Izuku had to leave. Taking the villain costume off, Izuku entrusted Mei to keep his gear until the event started, and Mei was more than happy too, although she was sad Izuku had to go. Finally getting out of the development studio, Izuku was happy he got to spend time with Mei, but no, he had to train. Leaving the menu. A building, Izuku finally got to the forest area he trained at last time. Taking his phone, Izuku checked the camera footage, and again no training was happening until he checked Gym Gamma. Looking through Gym Gamma, Izuku saw Shinso training with Aizawa in his capture scarf. The more he watched, the more Izuku thought about applying the techniques to Black WHP. Pausing the camera footage, Izuku copied Shinso's and Aizawa's moves down to the smallest detail. Their stance, position, body movement, everything Izuku copied, and he continued to do so even late into the night, once again missing out on a day of sleep. Prep Day 4, Waking Nightmare. Today I decided to talk to Nezu to make sure. Now I had been told that the game was being held in a city that Powerloader and Cementos built. Apparently, every class in I had the option of joining in the game with certain roles, be that employees for a store, business associates, journalists, reporters, small-time criminals, etc. The first time I heard this, I had thought of having a cover for my villainous activities. It would be perfect. Walking up to Principal Nezu's office, I had another hoodie on, and as I was walking I saw Uraraka and Ida walking out. Spotting me, Uraraka and Ida ran up to me. Hey Deku. Hello Midoriya. Smiling, both of them looked at me, apparently happy to see me. Hiding my malice and disgust, I put a smile on my face. Hey guys, how is everything going? It's going, I guess, but Kugu hasn't re-dash. Before Uraraka could give me any information, Ida cut her off. Uraraka, we can't give any information on our team away. That would be extremely unheroic if we revealed anything. Scolding Uraraka, Ida made the girl deflate, scratching her head. Oh yeah, well, it's not like it would really help him, Ida, but anyways, where are you heading, Deku? Turning back to me, Uraraka put the sweetest smile on her face. Prick, I'm heading to Principal Nezu's office. I have something to speak to him about. Still smiling, I was glad for what Uraraka said next because my plans had just gotten a head start. Oh okay, but hey Deku, I know with the whole game going on it's better if we stay clear of each other, but I was wondering if maybe you would like to hang out. I saw the light blush tinting her cheeks when she said that. Looking Uraraka straight in the eyes, I moved closer to her before grabbing her chin, making her look up to me, her blush growing larger. Sorry Uraraka, I would love to, but, pulling back I started walking forward, gently gliding my thumb on her chin before it left. Maybe next time. Leaving the pair alone, I slightly turned my head to see Ida fanning Uraraka, who had steam coming off her head. Grinning, I thought about the other classmates' weaknesses: Uraraka's one-sided love, Todoroki's abuse, Shinso's past, Ida's brother. All of them could be manipulated and broken, and I was going to be the catalyst for it. Wiping the grin off my face, I finally came to the door of Nezu's office. Knocking, I waited for Nezu to call me in, which he did. "Ah, Midoriya, I wasn't expecting to see you. I just had a chat with Uraraka and Ida. I assume you have some things you would like to talk about. Please sit." Sitting down on the couch in the room, I saw Nezu's eyes scan over to my left eye. Figuring I should get it over with, I took off my hood, revealing my hair and eyes fully. The look of surprise crossed Nezu's face, but before he could ask, I interrupted him. "Before you ask, this is due to my quirk. I already checked with Recovery Girl and there hasn't been any problems." "Well, if there isn't anything wrong, then you may ask what you came for. Care for some tea?" "No, I'm alright. I don't really drink tea." Knowing Nezu, I knew there had to be something more to the tea. It's not unlikely that he is suspicious of me, especially with our first Q&A. A shame. "So what brings you in here today? I'm sure you have more things to do for your preparation." Taking a sip, Nezu looked at me with his paws folded. "Yes, that's true, but these are a priority. There is gear that I will use that are not the weapons we have previously discussed." A glint passed Nezu's eyes as I told him that. "Now I have been made gadgets for May per your allowance, but there is something else I need." "Oh. And what would that be?" "Now we discussed using red paint for ammunition in the guns and some of the explosives I will use during the game. However, there is something I want to change. Instead of red paint, I request to use fake BLD." Sitting down on the couch, I put my fist to my cheek, leaning on it. "Why fake BLD, may I ask?" Narrowing his eyes, Nezu looked straight into mine. "Principal Nezu, this school was built to teach the foundation of being a hero: battles, training, rescue, villain attacks, and the list goes on. This war game is a part of that. It is to teach us how to adapt to a real situation. The fake BLD will provide a sense of realism and urgency. In real life, no one bleeds red paint. The new upcoming heroes need to be better prepared than the last if we are to do our jobs." Still leaning on my hand, I saw Nezu deep in thought. "What Midoriya said makes absolute sense. Fake BLD will give the students the shock they need to realize the danger of potential villains. If they aren't prepared for this before they become pros, they aren't going to make it." "Midoriya, you're smarter than you really show, aren't you?" Nezu thought this, repeatedly debating internally of Izuku's request before he finally nodded his head. "Very well, Midoriya, fake BLD will be provided for the ammunition and explosives. You made very valid points and I see no reason to decline. Is there anything else?" "Yes, if I could a civilian cover whenever I need. I would like to have at least several pairs of civilian clothes and colored contacts, as such I could converse with other students, people, and if need be shop for any supplies. It would be a useful tool for an alibi." Nezu was nodding his head, so I assumed he was thinking about how far I had thought this through, but really this was more of an on a whim situation. "That will be provided with your weapons and explosives. There is something I need to discuss with you. You asked to use C4 and different explosive devices, and as you know those can be quite destructive, so before you blow anything up you must contact me so that we may evacuate any student out of the area. Robots are exempt. Now, as much as I would like to know more of what you plan, I feel as if this is the extent of the information you will tell. They don't call you the smartest for no reason, and thank you for listening to my requests and accepting them." Bowing to Nezu, I finally left the office, making sure to pull my hood up again. Nezu POV. Watching Midoriya leave, my animal instincts told me this was definitely going to be interesting. His demeanor had totally done a 180 from the beginning of the year, or maybe this is who he really is. That bright smile that was always on his face is no longer there, only a cold and calculated stare in his eyes replacing the warmth. There is, however, the situation with OFA. I haven't heard about this change from All Might, RG, or Snipe, so he must have told them to stay quiet, or he has kept it to himself. Very well, Midoriya, I'll keep this secret as well. His question from the first session still rings in my mind: to what extent can I hurt the members of the other team? But I find it crazy to believe he would hurt his friends too much. Well, I guess we will have to wait and see. Now I had to start some paperwork for the requests Midoriya had made. This year was definitely going to be one to remember. Izuku POV. The talk with Nezu was successful, so walking to the dorms I had to make sure everything was at my disposal, so using OFA I jumped to the balcony of my room. Walking in, I still hadn't cleaned up the mess I made, but I could worry about that later. Going to the underside of my desk, I searched the floor nearest to the wall where a single plank had a bump in the wood design. Putting my hand to it, I grasped the edge with my fingers before slowly pulling it up and sliding it outward. Digging inside, I found what I was looking for. Pulling my hand out, I had my hand grasped on my Hero Analysis 13 notebook. Making sure to put the piece of the floor back, I sat on my bed, reading through all the notes. I made sure to memorize each and every page. I wouldn't be able to have these readily available, so making sure I had the right weaknesses and their strengths noted down. I studied late into the night before looking at the time. Seeing as it was around 1:30 in the morning, I wanted to take a shower now that everyone is asleep. Getting up, I grabbed my towel, heading to the showers. Turning on the shower, I started taking off my shirt, and like always my new tattoo was there. Looking in the mirror, I turned my back, littered with scars that I hid from everyone around me. Tracing some of them, I remembered how exactly I got them as the mirror fogged up with steam. Shaking my head, I finished undressing before getting inside the shower. Closing my eyes, the hot water brought me back to my past. Flashback. Izuku's POV. Your son is quirkless. Those were the exact words I heard the doctor say as I dropped my All Might figure. I still remember looking over at my mother, seeing her silent before her mouth opened. That can't be true. My husband has a pyrokinesis quirk and I have a weak telekinesis quirk. There has to be an error. My mother's shocked-faced questioned the doctor, who sadly shook his head. Mrs. Midoriya, there isn't an error of any kind. We ran it 3 times and all came back with the same result. Your son is quirkless. Although it's rare, it's still possible. I'm sorry. All I felt was shame, sadness, and scared, my mind asking whether or not I could become a hero without a quirk. I looked at my mother's face only to see 2 conflicting emotions, sadness and anger. Initially, I was confused, but that wasn't for long. At home, my mother told my father what the doctor had told her, and the amount of rage that crossed his face at that moment was something I couldn't forget. He looked ready to kill me, but before he could get close to me, my mom stepped in. I was glad at that time. She said she would take care of it. The sensation of her grip on my wrist, dragging me to my room before she threw me to the ground, and before I could ask her anything she hit me, the anger from before coming out full force as I cried for it to stop. After she was done, she had the nerve to look at me with sadness, like she didn't just hit me. It only got worse. Dad started drinking and Mom started fighting with him every day, and the end result would always be the same, a fist hitting me, as they both used me to vent their anger towards each other. It never progressed until a year later. My father, I guess, had finally had enough screaming at my mom. He packed his bags, leaving the family entirely, and my bipolar bitch of a mother blamed it on me, hitting me like usual before cranking up the punishment, using whatever she could get her hands on, baseball bats, wooden spoons, anything that could hurt me more. For the rest of my life, she was nothing but a tormentor. She would barely leave any food after she was done eating for me to survive. She beat me daily, never allowing a day for me to heal, treating me like a dog she could use and abuse whenever she wanted. I remember school life as well wasn't that much better. Picked on, hit, spit on, insulted, especially by Bakugo. I envied him for his quirk. My thoughts always led to the same thing. If I had his quirk, my life would be better, my dad would have stayed, and I wouldn't be hit. My scars from the hands of Bakugo and my mom served as a constant reminder this wasn't true. Every day got harder. My mom dialed up the punishment every time I stepped out of line. The problem was I never knew where that line was. It had gotten so bad that my mom used knives on me, cutting and carving into my back, and the explosions from Bakugo at school only added to the pain. This carried on until I met All Might. After Bakugo told me to take a swan dive off the roof, I walked a different path home that day, and it was thanks to that I met the person everyone idolized. At first, my dreams were crushed by him, but through some sheer luck, I was able to gain OFA and become a hero. My mom, the greedy beach, saw this as an opportunity to gain fame and fortune off of me, and despite now having a quirk, the routine of beating me was too familiar for my mom to deviate from. But when the dorm system was implemented, the abuse finally stopped, and since then I haven't seen my mom once. End of flashback. Turning off the shower, I dried myself, reliving those memories that happened too often for me to cry anymore. My tears had dried long ago. I couldn't find it in myself to become sad at the memories. The only thing I felt was rage. Getting dressed in the clothes I brought with me, I went back to my dorm. Sitting on my bed, I grabbed a sleeping pill, swallowing it. If I'm gonna relive my past, then I'd rather do it sleeping. Closing my eyes, the memories invaded once again. Flashback: 12 years old during school. Hey, Deku, I know how you can get a quirk. Pray for one in your next life and take a swan dive off the roof. Those words hadn't been the first time I was told to kill myself. It started with my mom, classmates, people who I tried to ask for help, and finally it was Bakugo. Though really I have to thank Bakugo for his words. It was what led me to All Might and where I was now. Though at that moment I didn't know that all I felt was anger, sadness, and shock. My childhood friend had told me to kill myself, and I remember considering that option as I walked home. There wasn't anything else I could do. No one would hire a quirkless person for any job. No one even wanted to deal with me. So when All Might at first denied my dream and crushed it, I found myself staring at the street below me on the edge of the building he left me on. What exactly stopped me from stepping off that day? What was I afraid of? Why couldn't I just move my feet forward and let every problem end? Instead, fate had other plans. I prolonged my pain, my torture, by stepping away from the ledge, and going to a villain attack a few blocks away, saving one of my tormentors before being offered a quirk, and again the choice to end my pain came. Like before, I extended my suffering, taking the quirk and becoming the successor to the #1 hero. This memory started fading as another played in my mind, one that happened recently. It was like any other day in I woke up in my dorm room, got ready for class, and put the smile I had practiced for years on my face. I didn't see any of my classmates this morning, but this had been happening for around 2 weeks and I never understood why they were avoiding me. Reaching class, I opened the door to glares coming from every single one of my classmates. Even my friends gave me dirty looks. Confused, I was about to speak, but before I could, Aizawa-sensei wrapped me in his capture gear before a purple gas covered me and I fell unconscious. Waking up, I had quirk suppressing HNDCFFS on my wrists and I was sitting in what looked like an interrogation room. Confused, I looked around. What happened? I remember Aizawa-sensei capturing me and then smelling purple gas and passing out. Was that Midnight-sensei? Struggling, I pulled at my HNDCFFS when the door opened. Seeing Aizawa, Midnight, and Nezu, I immediately asked them the question on my mind. Senseis. Principal. What am I doing here? I got no response, only the cold and hate-filled eyes of the principal and my teachers. I instantly hated those eyes. They looked exactly like my mom's when she took a knife to my skin. Walking forward, Aizawa sat down across from me, glaring straight into my soul. I have some questions for you, Midoriya, and you are going to answer them. Did I do something wrong? Am I in some sort of trouble? Flinching from Aizawa's glare, I sat back nervously. Aizawa had nothing but disappointment and anger as he answered, that all depends on your answers, Midoriya. My answers. Reaching down, Aizawa pulled up a small bag before he dug inside of it, throwing down all of my hero analysis notebooks, that I lost a few weeks ago. Midoriya, are these your notebooks? Looking at them, I already could tell what this was about. My extensive writing of quirks were gonna be my downfall. Yes. Did you sell any of the information in these books? No, I didn't sell anything. I guess my answer set Aizawa off because he stood up and slammed his hand on the desk. Don't lie to me, Midoriya, you sold information about your classmates and the teachers to the LOV. Getting up in my face, Aizawa activated his quirk, glaring at me. I didn't sell anything to the LOV. Yelling back, Aizawa got even angrier, grabbing me by my collar. You're a traitor to you. Why? Did you want money? Did they promise you power? Answer. Tossing me back into my chair, Aizawa slammed the table again. Looking at this, I just couldn't believe it. My own teacher didn't believe my innocence and is actively thinking of me being guilty. Gritting my teeth, I couldn't believe I allowed myself to become weak like this. I had already been betrayed before, but I still didn't see this coming. I didn't betray you. And I never even came into contact with the LOV. Going back and forth, me and Aizawa glared at each other as he accused me of crimes I didn't commit. Eventually Midnight stopped Aizawa while Nezu took his turn to question me. Midoriya, why did you betray us? Your friends. Again, I didn't betray anyone. Mentioning my friends, them avoiding me came to my mind along with their glares. Those FBSTRDS, I tried to save everyone at the U, S, J and several other times, and they turned their backs on me. Midoriya, if you don't start telling the truth, we are going to have to take extreme measures. Trying to threaten me. Nezu mentioned the possibility of something worse. Having nothing to say, I stayed silent as Nezu sighed, leaving the room with Midnight and Aizawa. Sitting there, I was surprised when All Might entered. My mentor, someone who I thought I could trust with anything, also had the same eyes Aizawa and my mother had. All Might questioned me like Aizawa had, yelling at me, buffed up, and I shouting back the same things I told Aizawa and Nezu. Hearing it, All Might flipped the table, pushing me up to the wall, yelling directly into my face. My mom replaced All Might in those moments, and all I was expecting was to get pushed down before the burning sensation of cuts and carving marked my back once again. Eventually, having enough, All Might left the room, and with that Aizawa came back in, putting the table back before sitting me back down, leaving with a hateful glare. For 3 days this was the routine, and no matter what I said they already had their minds made up. On the 3rd day, someone other than All Might, Aizawa and Nezu showed up. Seeing him, I recognized him as a detective. Carrying a notepad, he sat at the table introducing himself. Hi Midoriya, I'm Detective Tsukachi Naomasa. I was brought here to ask you a few questions. Now to be dash, shut up. Glaring at the shocked detective, I yelled, you and those F watching this already made up your minds. If I'm guilty, then throw me in jail. What am I still doing here? Putting his hands up, Tsukachi spoke calmly to me. Please relax, Mr. Midoriya, please just answer these questions one more time. I will know you're speaking the truth with my quirk, please, I'm asking you just once. Glaring, I nodded my head, and him seeing this started asking me the same thing everyone else had for the past 3 days. Did you sell information from these notebooks to anyone? Did you betray you? In any way? No, I didn't sell SHT to anybody, and I didn't betray you. Speaking low, I saw him writing down my answers in his notepad before he asked me more, and again he wrote stuff down. After about 10 minutes he left, and I was alone in the room, lost in my thoughts. Everyone betrayed me. They took my trust and crushed it just like everyone else. I thought having a quirk would make things better, but I see now things only ever get worse. Looking down at the table, I heard the door open again as All Might, Aizawa, Midnight, and Nezu all had faces full of regret. What do you want? Aizawa, stepping up first, uncuffed me before bowing his head. Midoriya, I'm extremely sorry for how I treated you. Going on and on, he apologized, and so did the others, all of them trying to SCK up to me. All Might, placing his hand on my shoulder, tried to speak to me, but I cut him off. Shrugging his hand off of me, I walked to the door. Don't touch me, I'm fine. Walking out, I clenched my fist, hatred flowing throughout me that I needed to release somehow. End of flashback. Groggily, I woke up, putting a hand to my head. Any of those dreams would terrify a person, make them cry and want to give up, but these painful memories are what drive me to show everyone else that despite the SHT I had to go through, I will be the one on top while they struggle for footing. There was something I did like about reliving these memories, and it was that without these experiences I wouldn't have found the one person who truly cared, Mahatsum. Seeing the sunlight through my window, I realized the last preparation day was upon me until I was allowed into the city at 8 p.m. where the heroes would be arriving in the morning. Prep Day 5, final preparations and confessions. Yawning, I got up from my bed. The nightmares didn't affect me like they used to, so I had no issues. Grabbing a painkiller, I swallowed it, taking a drink of a water bottle, taking it before I would need to later in the day. Getting up, I got dressed, looking at the time, seeing that it was 7 a.m. I didn't have to meet up with the teachers until 8 p.m., so I had about 13 hours to make sure I was completely ready. Grabbing my hero analysis journal, I read through them again, and that took about an hour before I finally finished. I had a plan for almost everyone made. With it being 8 a.m. there wasn't any way the class wasn't awake, and I really didn't want to see them, especially not before the game, so putting away my notebook underneath my desk and grabbing everything I needed, I walked over to the balcony. Scaling down the other balconies before landing on the ground, brushing myself off I walked into the forest planning on training with Black WHP before checking the camera footage that had been collecting for the past few days. Day 4 common room footage. Bakugu was nowhere to be found, and unlike the previous day, fewer students were in the common room. There was however still a few that refused to move watching TV or making conversation. No strategy meeting, nothing about the game, just casual conversation. Gym Gamma. Like day 3, Shinso was once again practicing in the gym with Aizawa, along with him a few students were doing light gym training in groups, presumably making their own plans to catch me, and from what I saw it wasn't bad. There were always at least one capture or speed hero on the team, but without real training, they wouldn't even touch me. Outside dorm. On the outside, Bakugu was training alone, and unlike the students in Gym Gamma, Bakugu was doing heavier training but nothing strategic or planning. He was only doing pure strength training. It seems that he was trying to live up to the promise of hurting me. But his strength training will only get him so far. If he doesn't have a plan, then he'll be the winner of every scenario. Day 5 common room. Checking the time, it was barely 4 p.m. so I still had time to watch the last footage of today's training before meeting with May. So switching to the live feed of the common room, I heard a conversation between almost the whole class of both 1A and 1B, with Bakugu, Shinso, and Todoroki seemingly having come back from training, which from what I saw were individual and grouped. The first voice I heard was Yoorozu. "Alright everyone, this was our last day to train. Now I know Bakugu said we didn't need to discuss a plan, but I still think it would be beneficial for us to at least speak about if we have any idea of what Midoriya intends to do. Uraraka, do you know anything?" Being put on the spot, Uraraka quickly thought if she knew anything, but she only shook her head. "Sorry Yomomo, but I don't know anything. I haven't seen his Deku since yesterday, and was distracted when I saw him." Teasing Uraraka, Ashido jumped in. "Was it because he grabbed you by your chin romantically, what? You know about that?" Blushing heavily, Uraraka folded in on herself as Mina started poking her. Realizing the conversation was off topic, Siro cut in. "Well, despite the love-dovey stuff, I honestly think that Midoriya can't do anything. I mean, he is not only facing us as classmates but also all of 1B by himself." Nodding their heads in agreement, many of the students thought it was too much of a stretch. Ida stepping in gave his account of the situation. "Now hold, Midoriya is a very smart student, he certainly has a plan for the game." Kirishima also joined in. "Yeah, Midoriya bro definitely has a plan, we should be at least a little careful." Monoma however just put his feet on the coffee table of the common room. "Oh come on, do you really think that he would have a plan for everyone in every class? Not only has he not been here, if he was spying on us we would have noticed by now. He can't do anything. He's useless." Relaxing, Monoma grinned as he put in his opinion, and everyone who had agreed with Siro also agreed with him. "Well, I think Monoma might be right, so how about this, we go easy on Deku and capture him without too much of a fight?" Looking around, Uraraka got many nods from the class. "Sorry, Uraraka, but I disagree. Midoriya had asked for a proper challenge and it wouldn't be very heroic to not give him our best." "I agree with Ida Ribbit, Midoriya can surprise us like he has before, so it's better if we give 100% because we all know what Midoriya can do." Ribbit. Reluctantly the classes all agreed. Sue and Ida did make some good points, so why not? Maybe they will end the game early. After watching exiting the camera footage, I was grinning. I easily have the advantage in my palms. They have no idea what's coming, do they? Getting off the ground, I saw that the time was nearing 6 p.m. so hurrying I still had to meet up with May before I left with the teachers. Running to the development studio, I made it right on the designated time. Opening the door, I saw May working on something, looking extremely nervous, which was odd for her. "Hey, May, I'm here, what's up? I have to go pretty soon." I guess seeing me surprised her because her head snapped up as a blush covered her face. Fixing herself quickly, she ran up to me. "Aizuku. You're here." Smiling, May grabbed my hand, pulling me to the work table. Yeah, you asked to come." "Oh right, well there's been something I want to tell you, and with you about to go and leave for the game I thought it would be good to do this now." Watching her, my heart started beating faster as her golden eyes stared into my eyes. "Aizuku, after spending so much time together, my heart started beating faster around you, and I've never felt this feeling before, so I didn't understand, but I do now. Izuku, I love you." Hearing this, I couldn't help myself pulling May close to me. I kissed her on the lips. Third POV Mei feeling Izuku's lips on her own went wide-eyed as she slowly returned the kiss, her heart and mind racing in happiness as her feeling were accepted. Her stomach had fireworks inside, she had been wanting to do this for a while. At first she ignored this feeling, but over these last few days she couldn't hide it, and now she was happy, she told him. Running out of air, the pair pulled away, blushes on their faces. Mei, I love you too. Ever since I was betrayed and accused of being a traitor, you were the only one who took the time to listen, to hang out with me, and I couldn't help but love you for it. Smiling, Izuku pulled Mei into another kiss as she was crying from his words of love. Izuku, pulling off Mei, snuggled into Izuku's chest as he hugged her close to his body, embracing the warmth. Mei and Izuku stayed for a long time before Izuku spoke out. May I have to tell you something? Hearing her name, she looked up to see Izuku with a conflicted face, and wondering what was wrong she placed her hand on his cheek. What is it? Sighing, Izuku told Mei a part of his plan. Mei, Uraraka has a crush on me. I overheard her talk about her love for me in the forest, and I plan to use it against her and the hero team, but with this, I don't want to go through with it if you're not okay. Looking into Mei's eyes, Izuku said nothing but the truth. As much as it was an advantage, he wouldn't be willing to lose Mei over it. He can plan around this. Mei was deep in thought about the situation. I love Izuku, and I want him to win, and he loves me, so I should trust him that he won't do anything with Uraraka. Izuku. Yes. I will allow you to do what you need to, but there are some rules. Looking straight into Izuku's eyes, Mei narrowed hers. First, no kissing Uraraka at all, no saying you love her, and you can't be too NTMT. I'll be watching the entire thing, so you'll know. Crossing her arms under her bust, Mei looked at Izuku seriously. May I swear I'll follow these rules to the absolute letter, but Mei, are you sure you want to watch? I might do things you won't like. Worried, Izuku asked the most important question on his mind. Mei simply smiled, pulling herself up, kissing Izuku on the lips and holding it there for a few seconds. Izuku, this is just a game. I know who you are, and no matter what I will always love you. Mei, grabbing the girl, Izuku put her on the work table, kissing her deeply, not wanting to leave his new girlfriend. And Mei felt the same, not wanting to leave the embrace of her boyfriend. In fact, Mei was toying with joining the game just so they could have a date in the city. For about 2 hours the couple couldn't let go of each other, and while they stopped kissing they held each other, speaking to each other while Izuku told Mei some of his plans, she even adding on to them, admitting that she didn't really like the heroics class that much, and after what they did to him she disliked them even more. Eventually, Izuku saw the time reading 7:45 p.m. so although he didn't want to, he had to leave Mei, giving her a goodbye kiss as he activated OFA, running back to the dorms as that was where Aizawa was gonna pick him up to take him to the mock city. Using black WHP, I practiced swinging in the trees of the forest, memorizing how Shiro and Aizawa used their quirk and scarf. Having a greater range of mobility would be essential for moving throughout the city and escaping situations that I could find myself in. Practicing for what seemed like hours, I could gladly say I learned how to sufficiently move with black WHP, but it wasn't the best. If someone like Shiro pursued me, there is a chance he could catch up. Taking a break, I got a text from Mei on my phone. Reading it, I saw that she wanted to meet up in the development studio at 6 o'clock. Texting back, I told her I would be there. With that taken care of, I got back to the main purpose of today, and that was checking the camera footage. Footage of day 3 common room. Pulling up the footage, I skipped to the third day, having already watched the second day. Scrolling through my gallery, I clicked on the common room footage of the second day. Watching, I was already seeing what I expected to. Many of the students were lounging around in the common room, but a few of the 1B students and my classmates walked up to Bakugu. A silver-haired spiky teeth guy who I remembered as Tetsu spoke to Bakugu. Hey Bakugu, do you have a plan to capture Midoriya? Bakugu, hearing this, got red with angry, glaring straight at the boy while everyone in the common room heard him yelling, what the F do you take me for, you extra? I don't need a plan for that, F Deku, so get the F out of my face. Pushing past Tetsu, Bakugu walked up the stairs, presumably to his dorm room. The students he yelled at simply scowled at their leader's attitude before they left, doing their own things. No plan, no collaborating, and he didn't tell them the rules. This is perfect. Gym Gamma footage. Watching the gym footage, I saw Aizawa and Shinso practicing their hero gear, with Aizawa making sure Shinso's moves were solid and movable. Seeing this, I was frustrated that Shinso was the only one doing any type of training. No one other than him was training in the gym. Outside dorm footage absolutely desolate, no one was training, there weren't even any marks that would signify light training. They must think I'm AF. Joke, this is the third day and there wasn't any training happening, and Bakugo didn't even order light training just to stay loose. Sighing, I shook my head before switching to the next day.